Oh, yeah, in video better.
Yeah.
That's the best way.
All right, we got a brand new chamber, temp, humidity, hot and cold. So hot, cold with humidity. I know you guys are kind of a little bit familiar with the machine. So what this is, I'm gonna go through, just go through the machine, kind of tell you what is what. We're gonna go through some of the maintenance that's required. We're gonna go through how to set some safeties and stuff like that. And we're gonna just go through the whole machine, and then we're gonna go through the controller and show you guys how to operate single set points like manual control or profiling or program, you know, so those are the two run modes. So, but to start, let's just go through the chamber. This is gonna be our controller. This is what's gonna control our temperature in degrees Celsius, and it's what's gonna control our humidity. This will also, you know, be our programmer to set our programmer and to start and stop the machine and everything like that. Let's stay right here. On the side over here is kind of gonna be called our option panel. So if you've got more options, you can get more options, and that would be mounted in here. But this is what they're calling our option panel. We have a cable port right here. This just kind of unthreads. I've already got the port plug in there, but this plug just comes out. Let me open this door really quick. Nice stuff in there, pretty good. So this plug is in here, so in case you guys want to, you know, run cables, power, you know, or hoses, whatever you need to run inside, and then you can run that and then put this on. I always just leave this port plug in here if you're not even doing anything, because if you go cold or hot, you may get condensation on the outside because there's no real seal. So I just leave this port plugged in there and stuff it in, and then I just throw it on. That's your cable. That's your cable port. In the back here, up in the top up here, right up here, that is a vent port. Okay, so that vent port is not to be blocked. So there'll be a panel that goes here, and so if people put stuff up here, that's not really good. So try not to put any boxes. This is a vent. Don't seal that with any silicone or anything like that. Just leave it open. It's a vent port. When you're gonna run, you know, high temperature, high humidity, what it does is it creates an equalization, so it doesn't pressurize the chamber, so you can't open the door or close the door, or when you open it, it's pressurized, the door shoots out at you and hits you in the head. So it's for equalization inside the chamber, so you know, pressurize. Got it. Oh, stay in the back there. That's also our water circuit compartment is in the back here.
Okay.
These are our floats. This is the float for the wet wick here. Mm-hmm. And then this is the float for the steam generator. This is where the heater is at. This is what's gonna create our steam and put it into the, but these are the floats. These are the drain valves here. This is our water supply. This is our water regulator. So, and then underneath is our water tank, which here's our water tank, which is where you'll fill the water at. Try not to fill it over the drain. This is the return drain, so keep the water level underneath here. And then this is our water pump it's on a ballast tank that, you know, sends it up too. It holds about roughly about 9 gallons of water if it's completely empty. So once this drains, you have about 5 more gallons in here. If you don't fill this up, you'll use all your water. And you may damage your pump if you leave this drained. So try to keep this always filled.
Okay. But it will run out if we run it over the weekend.
No, it should not run out over the weekend. Yeah, if you fill it up, Friday, run it over the weekend, you should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's open our chamber here. All right. This top sensor here, that is what's reading our air, like our temperature, our air temperature. So it's going to read the hot, the cold. This other sensor that has this thing on it, the smaller sensor right on this thing, is going to read humidity. It's reading wet temperature. So this is reading dry temperature, this is reading wet temperature, and then the controller calculates the difference between the dry temperature and the wet temperature, gives you your relative humidity. So,
But this one has to be there.
yes, this has to be installed. This wick has to be installed. And you got a box. Has 24, well, 23 now. I had to use it. But you can see they're just a paper, it's just a little piece of paper. So the way they come is they come folded up like that, and they come in this packet. Now notice, when I open this, I opened it on the side here. You open it down the middle, you're gonna rip rip the wick open. So I open on the side here and then install this. Sometimes you could, it's got a little spot for the sensor. Sometimes you could take a pen in there to open it up a little bit. But if you get up here and if you look down on here, you'll see there's a little cutout in there.
Where's this cut out?
I got a light.
There you go, light. Yeah. There you go, sweet. Oh, shoot.
Yeah, so there's a cutout in here. This cutout right there is where this is gonna slide into. So I had a customer do this. He put on the wick, and instead of putting the paper inside, he left it like that, and it dried up, and he wasn't able to read humidity. So both of these pieces of paper have to fall inside this little slot in there. And then once it falls inside that slot, it will absorb the water, and that will be wet. So you'll want to see that always wet. Okay? If you've noticed that you're not controlling humidity in any way, that you're trying to control at 90% or whatever you're trying to control at, and it's reading like 100% all the time, but you notice when you open the door it's very dry in there, it probably means that your wick is not absorbing any more water, and it needs to be replaced.
Okay.
So let me get to the question right now. How often do we have to replace that? It's not how often. Everybody's different as far as when they need to replace their wick. Usage of the chamber, the quality of the water, temperatures that you're running. Obviously, if people are running, 125 Celsius or 150 Celsius, that wick may dry out quicker, but on average, I think you could probably go from anywhere from like a month to 2-3 months, depending on usage and quality of water. Don't try to use tap water. Use good water, distilled water. RO systems are good, but the thing is with some of these waters is keeping the filtration up on the water. So if the filtration's not up on the water and you're putting RO water and you guys haven't changed filters in 2 years, which I've had customers do, you're pretty much not sending good water to it. If you use tap water, you're gonna consume those wicks probably every 2 weeks.
Okay.
A lot of minerals, a lot of calcium deposits, and different things are in the water. When it reacts to the temperatures and the heat, it just, yeah, you'll see it either all brown, purple, green, white, like crusty white. You know, I've seen all different colors on those wicks. I've also had them on there for so long where you try to pull them off and they just shred, they just disintegrate because they've just been on there for so long.
So when you say is the time we should change it, is it by the color or by the texture? Or?
Well, when you're aspect says when humidity is unattainable.
Oh, okay.
So when you can't control your humidity anymore, probably take a look at that. Now, you may say, okay, well, I have a 2-month test. That wick hasn't been changed in 2 months. You may want to replace it before your prolonged test too, that runs for 2 or 3 months, just so you know that you should have a good wick.
Got it.
You know, so. Circulator fan. And they're gonna call this our wick pan, by the way. That's our wick pan, because that's where the wick is going into to get wet. So right there, right up here, you have a circulator fan. Okay, the machine is off right now, so you don't see it turning. Whenever, I don't care, whenever anybody hits the start button and that thing is running and you don't see that thing turning, you have a problem. That thing always needs to be running no matter what. Temperature, humidity. If that's not running, you can do, I shouldn't say damage, but yeah, you could do more damage. You can burn up your heaters, you can liquid slug your compressor, which then, you know, so that should always be turning. So just, you know, when you start up a machine, before it start, you know, just a quick startup, just open the door, make sure that's turning, and then shut the door, you're ready to go. But that always needs to be turning. Should never shut off until the machine shuts off. And then your compressor right here. This is our refrigeration compressor. This is what's gonna help us control temperature, control humidity with cooling and dehumidification. So yeah, that's pretty much it with that. I know you guys did not get any shelves, but you guys can buy some shelves. I know you guys, or Lorenzo was talking about having some shelves in there. So you can just purchase those.
Can we use this base?
Yeah, you can use that base for
Because we have some parts that
yeah.
are ready to go in, and they're small.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that we can use it.
Yeah.
And we could.
Yeah, it's like that. The bottom is like a shelf too.
Okay.
Yeah, you can obviously set things on there. But yeah, just go ahead and contact SPEC for the shelves, or you guys can make them too. I've had other customers make them. You just gotta. I think McMaster Carr even sells these type of clips too. You know, they just go in and then they just go in there and then the bottom part just slips on and then it's flat.
Do they have to be a special kind of material or?
Stainless steel.
Oh, then we don't have those.
Yeah.
We got a lot of those, but they're not stainless steel.
It would be better to be stainless steel
Yeah.
because of the
gets
moisture.
rusty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, anything that is not stainless steel is gonna.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Adjusting the water levels. Back here too, again. I'll let you go ahead.
Oh, sure.
and
Yeah.
get on that
Of
thing.
course. Thank you.
But adjusting the water levels is pretty easy. It's just they're just a float, and I mean water levels are good, but all you need to do is you can just bend these arms up or down if the water level's too high or too
Is this
low.
one of them?
That's a shutoff valve.
Oh.
The floats are actually inside here. You've got these little.
And there is a things in there.
Yeah, yeah. So by just adjusting the water level in here, you can just bend these. You know, it's almost like an old toilet bowl.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh.
So.
I see. All right. You see Lorenzo? You can go in the little ladder.
Yeah.
And if you guys do have any questions, just
Yeah,
let me know.
Thank you.
You just stop me and let me know. And I'm trying to. I should be able to.
Oh, yeah.
I should be able to cover everything.
If I, in the,
A lot of people, some people ask me questions before I've gotten to that part.
Yeah, we'll wait. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Last thing over here on the side. This also is a clip for the power here. So it's real easy for somebody just to,
Well, but on these levels, how do you say we just?
You just gotta bend. You just gotta bend this little rod here. Just bend it up or bend it down to bring the water level up and down.
So, but this always stays open.
Yes, always stays
Oh,
open.
but it's gonna be.
Yeah, you'll have the cover on the back.
Because
Correct.
dust, I was wondering, dust is gonna go in there a lot.
Well, that's why.
Well, yeah,
that's
okay.
why we'll get into the maintenance part of it
Okay.
and cleaning these. Well,
Right.
we're gonna get into the maintenance part real soon. But anyways, this is for the power. Pretty much what it does, because it's real easy for somebody to accidentally come over here and you know, oops, this thing, you know, like accidentally tripped on it and it came out and now your chamber is stopped. So what this does is you can take these screws out right here, or not out, but you can loosen them and put that in there. Put that in there, and then this will go through, and then you just tighten this.
So it doesn't come off.
Yeah, it's got to be a little bit looser, but it will go around here. So when you plug this in, now this will tighten it. So if somebody kicks it, it won't come out or accidentally come out. You know, so. But that's what this is. Some people use them, some people don't. But it's over here. All right, these guys. And this is what it will do. It takes about a minute to boot up, but what you're gonna see when it boots up is what we were seeing when you guys showed up. That's like your main page there. But these guys. So I don't know if you guys need to apply power to your products when the machine is running or not, but that's what these are. So right here, you have these set of contacts. Okay, there's no power here. So I can stick my fingers in here all day, run the machine, stick my fingers in here. They're a set of contacts. You have to supply the power because it's your customer, well, it says customer power because SPEC doesn't know what power you need for your products. You may need 400 hertz, you may need 60 hertz, 50 hertz, you know, different types of power requirements. So these are just like a switching mechanism to allow your power to go through. So, and these are the connectors that you would hook up to run your power if you need 110 or 220 or whatever, and it's just switching. This one right here, this controlled specimen power, is the contacts are always closed whenever you're running the machine. This other one that says time signal, that is more like an event. So you can control this power on off to certain times in your profile. Like if you want it on at hot temperature and off when you're ramping and then on when you're soaking, you can do that. You can control that one to turn on and off when you want it. This one is always on when the machine is on. But once again, you have to supply your power, and these contacts are rated at 125 volts at 2 amps. So if you had something like, let's just say you were testing a radio, and that radio produced 5 amps, you couldn't run through here. Now if the radio produced 1 amp, you can easily run through the contacts. But if you're producing 5 amps, you'll want to switch like a relay or a contactor to let the higher voltage or power go in, and then you can turn on. That's the way you turn on your. And if you guys ever do need this and you want to set something up or need to have power and just kind of need a refresher, just give me a call and let me know.
Okay.
I can easily, but that's what these are for. All right. Let's get into the maintenance now before we get into our option water tank and the controller. All right, so the maintenance. Condenser cleaning. Everybody knows what an air-cooled condenser is? Everybody has an air conditioner at their house? Yes? Okay. The thing outside that makes a lot of noise, that's your condensing unit. That's your air-cooled condenser. So over here is your air-cooled condenser, if you want to see this, but it looks pretty dirty. If you see all that dust on there, see how shiny that looks up top up there? But there's a lot of dust and dirt. It almost looks like something like from your dryer, like the lint trap.
Yeah.
Well, that's what this is going to look like eventually. So up in here, if you look up in here, and probably you're better coming right here on the side right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look up in there,
That is on the side.
yeah, that's your air-cooled condenser right there. You can see the fins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see if ever, and you can even just look right through here.
Okay.
Oh, maybe that's too. Uh-oh. My flashlight shut off. There we go. But right, it's like your radiator of your car. You know, so over time, this will get dusty and dirty, and this will need to be cleaned.
Okay.
Vacuum or with a brush, you know, clean it out
Got it.
and just get all the dust and dirt out of there. How often? Well, this is not a lab. It's considered to be more like a warehouse type. So you may want to check that every 6 months or so, just to check. To clean it, it doesn't take long, you know, a few minutes. And what I have is something like this. I have a brush. I also use a vacuum, but I have a brush like this. And all I would do would just get in here and just start brushing it down and then getting all the dust and dirt out.
Okay. Simple enough.
Yeah. But I would give that a check every 6 months. And if it needs to be cleaned, it takes, you know, a couple of minutes. Not long. But that's our condenser. We have water. We have a water filter. Sorry, not a filter. A water strainer. This is right here. This water strainer. Let me move this out of the way for a second. So our water strainer is right there. Now, I have yet to ever clean that, or one of those. But what it is it's just to help to get any big things that go before the pump. But like I said, if you're putting good clean water in here and you leave the lid on, you shouldn't have any rocks or leaves or anything that's gonna get
Right.
sucked into the pump. So, but if you guys ever do the maintenance on this, where you guys take the water and drain it, you can easily just check that. It just unthreads. It's a mesh screen. I take a wire brush and just take it to the sink and just kind of just clean it.
Okay.
But eventually this will be needed to be cleaned too. So you can drain this and then just take no chemicals. Just, you know, use a rag. You know, don't use anything with chemicals in it. Like don't use Lime Away or Simple Green or any type of bleach or anything like that. Just wipe it up with a soft cloth or something like that. That will be periodically, probably, you know, maybe once a year or so. This pump also has a shut-off switch on it, so when you do the maintenance, you can just either shut the switch off or just unplug it. This will come apart right here. I have this is a quick release, so if you're doing maintenance, so now what you can do to drain this tank is you've got a fitting over here, and this is the instructions for this too. So what you can do if you ever need to do the maintenance on that, you can easily drain this tank. You can just put, you know, this will clip into the tank part right there. Grab this side for a second. So right here, this will clip in right here. But you got to be careful. You got to have this in a bucket, because once you clip this in, water is just gonna just come out everywhere.
Okay.
But when you're doing that, make sure you shut your pump off first before you drain this tank, because then if the pump starts running, and you're running out of water, that's not good for the pump. So make sure you shut this off before you service, drain the water, or clean up the tank. And then when you're ready to go, just fill back up the water, hook everything up, and turn the pump back on. And you're ready to go. And like I said, maybe, I mean, you have to take a look at it. Right now, I would start with like, you know, every 6 months, maybe once a year. But you may find that, hey, it looks good. After 3 years, oh, hey, it's starting to look bad. So you may find every 2 or 3 years you want to clean that, or you may find that every 6 months, 8 months you want to, you know, do the maintenance on it. So that's just kind of something that you guys have to play around with, the usage that you guys do, and like I said, the quality of water that you guys are using. So other than that, that's not really, that's it for the maintenance. Not too much. Oh, and the wick changing, we've already went through that. Okay. Let's get into our controller. Alright, so we're at our controller now. So this is kind of our main page. I'm going to go through some of the alarms really quick. The alarms, we have a product temp protector here. Okay, and all it is just a little, okay. All it is just a little little dial indicator with a down button and an up button. So right now it's flashing between 190 and -30. So I know your profile, one of your profiles that we're gonna install, it goes up to 65C. So you may want to protect your product and set it for like 75C, where you also go to -10, where you might want to protect it at -20. Let's just say your product, when it hits 110 degrees, it ruins it. So you want to set that so it saves your product in case there's a temperature runaway or anything like that. So to set that really quick, you either hit the up, down, or the up key or the down key. It doesn't matter, either one. But once you start hitting it, see how it's changing? And I can just keep changing it. So now it's set for 120C. Just give it a minute. It will flip. Now it will let me change my -30. Oop, there's minus. I'm gonna reset them back to the original limits, but I'm gonna let you guys set them where you want them. And then just don't touch it. And now you're set. So now you're set for -30 and 120. And then once again, just to change it, just push the up key. And then, like I said, when you don't touch it, just let it go. It switches and it's ready to go. So that's the first setting. That's the first protector. All right. I'll go through these buttons more, but let's get into. All right. So you have some alarms and limits here. So your alarms are okay. So these are just what your alarms are. So if you're gonna alarm, you could have a temp out of range, humidity out of range, a temperature fault, a circulation fault. I think that's it. Yeah. So that's it. To set your limits, there's your over temp 1 fault. Alarms. There you go. So to set these, you would set them right here. So this is kind of like another double redundancy on some safeties for the temperature. So just push on it and it will let you enter whatever you want. Push on it, lets you enter whatever you want. And then when you're done, hit your humidity and you can set humidity ranges. Normally you just leave those at 0 and 100. All right. Any questions with our alarms? Okay.
What are the other ones that are there? There's temperature out range, humidity, and what are the other ones?
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's. The other ones are temperature fault. So what happens if you get a temperature fault? It's probably because this has tripped.
Okay.
So it's going to let you know in the alarms. And then your circulation fault. So you've actually got a safety on your fan motor, temperature safety. So if that trips, it lets you know. This is kind of how just the setup. You shouldn't need to change anything in here.
Okay.
You should, just the temp out of range and your humidity out of range are probably the only two you're going to probably get into mostly.
Okay.
All right. Any questions so far? Because I think we're going to get into this controller now.
We're good.
Okay. So this is what it's going to look like on the main page when it, like I said, when we first powered up. This is after it boots up. This is what it looks like. So this is kind of like our main page. Right from here, I can do a simple set point, meaning a manual set point, meaning I can set it to -20. I can set it up to 180, which by the way is your limits of the chamber. -20 C all the way up to 180 C, which I've already been to on my checkouts. So to real easily set a manual set point, sorry, that's good. To go ahead and set a manual set point, this is all touchscreen too. So to set a manual set point, just click on it, and we want to go to, I know some of your things, it says -10, enter. Now I'm gonna run to -10 manually, meaning it's not gonna ever change. This chamber will run at that temperature until two things happen. You turn it off, or the chamber breaks. Once that happens, you turn it off, and yeah. So you can also go up. I know another one of your temperatures is 65. So this is running manually, not profile. You have to manually come in and change the temperature to what you want it to be when you want it to be. Single set point, manual condition. Same thing with the humidity. Just touch on it, and you can set your humidity to whatever you want. I know you guys profile said 91% on that thing. So, and then once you turn it on, it's just going to run there. It's going to run to those conditions and stay until you manually change the set points or, like I said, shut it off. So that's pretty much it for a single set point. Any questions on that?
What does it say? Is that PVSP? Sorry, I can't read that.
Okay, so PV is your process variable. So this is what the actual condition is inside. So right now, my sensors are reading about 24.8 Celsius, and I'm reading 55.9.8% humidity right now inside there.
Mm-hmm.
So when I turn this on, when you turn this on, your set point, your SP is your set point. Your process variable will run to what your set point is.
I see.
Yep, 65 and 91%. And so after it heats up, your PV and your SP should be the same within a couple of tenths. Yeah.
Okay.
It's got some controls, you know. So yeah, and it works pretty good. I mean, within a
How many percent?
how. We were like right on. I mean, you're talking within a couple of tenths of a percent. So it's really
Yeah, very
close.
close.
Yeah, it controls really good. You should get a really good tight control for this.
Right.
That's pretty much it with running a single set point.
This doesn't.
That's your chamber light. There is nothing there because
Yeah,
you don't have
a
yeah.
window.
They only give the light when you have a
window.
window.
Makes sense.
So, but other than that, so this is like a home button. This is like a page button. This is like a back button, And this is kind of like a help button, gives you a little bit of information. So we'll go through that right now. So home, like I said, that's your main page. Your back button, you were already on our main page, but if I was to, go there, I can hit the back button. Or if I was to get in here and keep getting in, I can keep hitting the back, all the way to my main page. So the little question mark is kind of like a help. It tells you kind of what you have in here. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, so it just, there's nothing you can change on this. This is just all telling you what version of this controller it is, the model number of the controller, stuff like that. Pluggable modules, it just tells you what is actually plugged in to your controller, because you have some spots that you can put different cards in. So that's just telling you what type of cards you have in there. This is kind of more for me, not for you guys, but we'll go through everything. This is a snapshot enable. What it does is it's able to take a snapshot of a couple of minutes or something like that of what's going on. So if there's any problems, you can pull that off the controller, and send it into either SPEC or Watlow to see why the controller is acting up or what's going on. Installed features. Yeah, see, so this is just, it's nothing much, it's just more information. Profiling, you have profiling function blocks that see this is kind of all for me, more for me as well. Lets me know what I have inside this controller. So if I ever have to do troubleshooting, I know, yes, you have profile, why can't you get into your profiles, stuff like that. So that's all for the help button. All right, so our page down, we got my menu, profiles, operation, settings, file transfers, login, services, help. So my menu is kind of things that you guys can personalize and put on your my menu, which like things you're gonna use the most, like maybe the alarms, like the setting of the alarms. You can move the settings of the alarms on here. But it's just kind of, it's a page for you guys to go to find things quicker and easier. Instead of saying, oh yeah, shoot, he told us where that was at. Where are those alarms? I can't find those anymore. Where are they? So if you have a hard time finding these things, you can always just put them on my menu. And then they're always right there for you.
How do you add them to my menu?
You know what? I don't know how to do it from here. I think I might have to use the computer to do that. Let me see. No, that's calibration. Settings. Display. That's just the brightness. No. Login. I don't think that's where I go. Let me go into operations. Machine controls. No, that's not what I want. You don't need any of those. I may have to find out for you. I've never done it on from here. I think I've always just done it from the computer.
And we can do it from our computer as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and
you can-
I'll show you what you need to do it from.
Okay, you can show us how to do that from there then.
Yeah, because I'm actually gonna show you how to set up the profile through my computer.
Oh, sure.
It's so much easier.
Okay, sounds good.
So, because here are your profiles right now. You don't have any in there. Options, do you want to create, view, edit, import, cancel? We're just going to cancel because I'm going to show you how to do it there. And then once we have it installed, then I can kind of show you how to edit it from here. But everything is just so much easier on the computer.
Sure.
Operations, control PID loops, temperature and humidity. So the PID loops are kind of how the chamber come into control. You kind of don't want to really mess with these. Yeah, so they've already kind of, I think they've already kind of hidden them from you, so you don't mess with them. So that's good. Oops, we're on, nope. We're on control loops. So, control PID loops. Like I said, it's, so as you're coming up to 65 degrees, you don't keep the heat on 100% when you get to 64, because once you shut the heat off, you're gonna go way past 65. It's like coming to a stop sign. You know, you're not gonna hit the gas doing 100 miles an hour until you get to the stop sign and then try to stop. You're gonna go right through the stop sign. You're also not gonna hit the brakes 2 miles back from the stop sign. You're gonna take you forever to get to the stop sign. So that's what the PIDs are. They're kind of the way they control to come into your set point, your temperature, and then come in and just come right in and then just hold that temperature.
Okay, so we don't need to touch those.
Yeah, that's more for me. I'm just going through the controllers so you guys kind of know what is what.
Okay.
You guys will probably be mostly on the alarms, the profiles, and the manual set points mostly.
Okay.
So,
Sounds good.
controllers, profiles, inputs. So these are inputs. So right now, my dry bulb temperature is reading 26.4. I don't have any errors, and somebody's already done an offset of this of 0.2 of a degree, positive 0.2 of a degree. But when you guys get calibrations done, and if they need to switch, you know, if there's a calibration and they need to adjust something,
Here it is.
they can just adjust it there, and then you can either do a negative offset or a positive offset.
Got it.
And the same thing with the wet bulb TC as well. So right now there's no offsetting for the wet bulb TC. And right now, that's not 19%. That's 19 degrees, 19.9 degrees. It's reading temperature, but
Going up to 20.
the calculation is reading percent.
I see.
So, because over here, when you hit this, so it gives you your dry bulb temperature, your wet bulb temperature, and your it gives you your over temp TC reading right now. So our over temp TC is reading 27. Operations and inputs. Outputs. So right now the machine is off, but when I turn the machine on, these are only going to read 0 or 100. So it's either on or off. 0 being off, 100 being on. Just kind of it's more of an indication saying what is on. You know, is my heat on? Is my cool on? Wet heater, dehumid, you know, so that will let me tell me if I'm cooling or heating, you know, or if I'm not. We already went through the alarms. Machine controls, you won't need any of these. These are also in the computer here in the setup. But these do different things. These are like a math, they do different things, a logic to switch things. You got variables, you got timers, process values, you got to compare, but you would have to set everything up via computer.
Got it.
To use these. But they're extra in there that you don't need them to run this machine. It's just this controller is used for other different types of controls where somebody may, instead of using this controller on a chamber, they may use this on something else, like a pressing machine, and they want a math or they want a variable in there, and they can control their press machine to a variable or some type of math something. So that was our operations. Our settings, profile settings, should not need to get into here. Power out minutes, power out hours, calendar minutes, calendar start minutes, calendar start hours. So you could actually start this gives you all your events if you want to turn them on or off. But you have a power out minute, so if you're not going to use the profile or after the profile is done, you don't shut anything off. It will have like a power off minute. So say you set it for 20 minutes after the profile's done, 20 minutes, nothing happens, it will shut off. Same thing with your calendar start minutes and hours. Calendar start day, what day you want it to start on. So you can start your profile at a certain day. You don't even have to be here. It's already set up, ready to go.
Okay.
Start it on Monday at 8 a.m. Everything better be loaded. It's starting at 8 a.m. So by Friday or next week or whenever your test is done, it's ready to go. Network. This is your Ethernet network. So this is your IP address and everything. So right now it's set to all default. You can change that. Some people have changed that because they have many of these controllers and they want each controller to have its own IP address. So when they run computer, they can find this chamber, they can find that chamber, they can find their other chambers with their IP address and stuff like that. So global, this is where you don't want to really get too much in here. Everything is in Celsius. Do not change to Fahrenheit. If you do, contact SPEC before, because if you don't, I'll be out here and I'll be messing with this thing going, wait, has it always been in Fahrenheit? No, we changed it to Fahrenheit. That's our problem. Then I will call SPEC, give me the configurations for Fahrenheit. Oh, guess what? We don't have those.
Ugh.
They don't set it up in Fahrenheit. It's only Celsius. So, and then your display brightness right now, you can change that to, whatever you need. Okay. File transfer. Interesting. You guys don't have any logging on this computer. Data logging. Data logging on the controller. SPEC does not buy these controllers with the data logging. They buy them without, which is fine. If you do want that, you can always purchase that through Watlow. Watlow is the manufacturer of the controller, by the way. And here is your manual for it. It's a CD manual. The data logging allows you to record your profile. If you were running for the 10 cycle profile, it would let you record all that. And then you can take that data, pull it off, get it on your computer, and put it into like an Excel form sheet, so you have data for your test you just ran.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, they don't have any data logging. You'd have to buy that, and then when you buy that, you just take the thumb drive, you get it off the computer. Once you've purchased it, they send it to you. You take it off your computer, then you open this up and you stick your thumb drive in, and then power it up and it downloads. Now you have data logging. That's if you want. But file transfer, this no device detected. Yeah, because I don't have the thing plugged in. But we can also, let's just say you have another machine there. Well, after we put in profiles, let's say you just put in 10 profiles. And these profiles are long profiles, 20, 30, 40 steps each. Well, now you got to go do it to that chamber. So instead of having to spend hours doing the same thing, you can take your little, your USB, memory stick, plug it in there, download all the profiles off there, go to your next machine, and upload all your profiles in the matter of minutes instead of taking hours to do it all out.
Mm-hmm.
So the only two things you can do with the file transfer is take off your profiles or remove your data if you had the data logging.
Okay.
So log in. This is more of a deeper setup, so they don't want you in there, so they log it out.
Sorry, real quick. Will you show us how to do the file transfer of a profile in here as a sample or something like that?
Do you have a USB stick?
Yeah, we can find one.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't want it on mine.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if you had a sample profile just to show how we can.
Well, I'm
transfer
gonna
the
put in
computer.
your profile.
Oh, okay.
So once your profile's in, you can take it off and have it on that memory
Yeah.
stick and be ready to install it on that one.
Oh, okay. I just want to see if you can. Okay, you're gonna show us how to transfer right now.
No, I gotta put a profile in there.
Oh, okay. I thought you said okay. You had one. Okay, never mind.
I have the profile that you guys run. Once that's entered, then I can show you how to remove that.
Okay, sounds good.
Service, it's just your calibration, same place, you know. Come on. Get in there. Oh, I guess you don't have anything on here. So they probably, your calibrations are all on your operations, on your inputs here. So that's all your calibrations there, so you really don't need that. Where did I go? One more. And then your help is the same thing right there. Gets you to the same place. Other than that, that's pretty much it with kind of like what would you call that? Like the chambers. I guess you'd call this more of like a setup type of thing. So. So that's pretty much it. Let me see what else. Yeah. So now it's just doing the profile. Any questions so far? Like I said, just stop and ask. No questions so far. Good. All right. Ethernet cable, Cat 5. Goodbye. I don't answer phones when I'm doing training.
Thank you.
No, my boss knows I'm starting up a machine today, and he knows that I'll be training, but yet he still calls. Alright. So, this is your profile. So what I have on here, which you can get off of here, it's on here. It's this composer. And if you ever have a question too, like I said, I'll leave you my card. You can call me. You can also talk to Watlow. Their number's back here. They're very helpful.
Great.
Very helpful. I like their tech support. They're very good.
Awesome.
Although I don't use it that often. I just know their controllers very well. But when I do, they are very helpful. So I'm going to open up this composer. Set this right here for now. So once I open up this composer, that is going to allow me to be able to now communicate with the controller as far as entering profiles and setting it up and stuff like that. This, you cannot run the machine from here. I can't turn on the machine. I can't start and stop it. If you want to do something like that, you still have to talk to Watlow or SPEC to have you, you have to buy the software you'd have to buy the software to be able to communicate where you can start and stop and data log and graph everything from your computer.
Okay.
That's a software that has to be purchased. All right, so I'm going to plug me in. Oops, sorry, let me get out of you guys' way here so I'll see this. Yeah, it's just I'm using a Cat 5 Ethernet cable. All right, so it's not quick, but you gotta give it a minute, and then you'll hit connect, and there I am. So there's my controller. So now it sees the controller. Now, you could have this hooked up to like a network, which people have done, and then you'll see all these chambers, but then you have to change your IP address to be able to see them. You can't give them all the same IP address.
Right.
But this is like a default, so you'll see this on there too.
I see.
But if I was to hook up to both of these, it would only see one of them. Unless I gave that one a different IP address, then it would see both of them if I had it on like a network. You can see them all. So click on it, hit your continue, so it's highlighted. You hit continue, and then it comes up, it shows me there's no errors, no errors, no errors, everything is good. If you had errors, it would be yellow or red. So I'm gonna click up here, hit onto my, so once I click up there, it comes up with the model number. I can go into device details, calibration, or profiles. I don't even know if I can get in here because they're not green. See how the little green flag? So we're gonna get into profiles. So there's your profile page right now. So right now we have no profiles, but we're gonna add one. So we're gonna add a new profile, hit your add. Okay, now it comes up with, what do you wanna name this? Is there a certain name you give this? Is this just your, is this kind of like your name here for your mill stack, or
Yeah, you can put that mill spec and then method
Yeah.
Okay.
6. It's perfect.
So you just come over here. Let's do this. Let's do all caps. Mill dash.
Put this one.
That's what I'm putting.
Oh, I thought you were going to that one.
All right. So now it's named. All right. So now our first step. So what do we want to do? So I click on my first step. Step 1. What do we want to do? Well, it looks like our first step is going to be a ramp step, and it's going to ramp to from 25 to 65. But in this here, it shows, you know, a little, it shows that it's already at an ambient. So I'm thinking maybe the first step needs to just be an ambient condition for like 5 minutes. It's kind of like you turn on your car in the morning to warm up.
Exactly.
You know, you just don't turn on the car and just hit the gas and now you're doing 90 miles an hour. Your car's not going to last very long. But so what I do is I kind of just do just a 5 minute or couple minute, you know, just to turn the machine on, just to get it on. But we're gonna do a ramp time. You also have a ramp rate. You also have an instant change or an end. So these are all types of steps that you can do. There's more, but let's enter our first couple of steps, because then you'll see more once we get into this. But we're gonna do by ramp time. Since you're doing everything by time and not by rate, we'll do it by time. Because some people like rate, some people like time. So we're gonna do a ramp time. Let's get in there, push 5 minutes. Temperature, 25. And if you want humidity, we'll just say we'll put it at 50% for now. I'll get into our guaranteed soak. Time signal, that's the time signal. That's like the event, if you want that on or off, if you have power going to your product. Humidity mode, on or off. We're gonna put it on. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's our first step, is just turning the machine on at ambient conditions. All right, add a new step. So now step 2, it already sees first step. So now we gotta switch this. Now it's still gonna be a ramp, but we're gonna ramp in 2.5 hours to 30 minutes. And we are gonna go from 25 to 65 to 90. Now this says 90 to 100%. Normally I would put it at 95, but this all says 91. Where do you guys want that? Is that 91 is where you want it?
Yeah.
it's easily changed too, via the display or the computer. It's easily changed.
Okay.
So we'll put 91 first to start. Not going to do the guaranteed soak. I'll get into that. Humidity mode is on. Time signal we're going to leave off because I don't think you guys need power to your product, right? No. Okay.
We don't.
Yeah. So that will just always stay off then.
Right.
Your humidity mode you want on because your stop chamber at end, that will come into that. That's our end step actually. Excuse me. Okay, so that's our ramp time. So now add a new step. So now our next step is we want to stay at 65-91 for 3 hours. So now instead of being a ramp time, we want to soak. Okay, so now it's going to give me different things. So I can't change my temperature in my soak because it's already got the temperature set from the ramp. But so now we'll just put in here for 3 hours. Okay, so now we'll get into the guaranteed soak. Humidity still on, time signal off, the stop chamber at end, just leave that off. Because our end step will actually have everything. So guaranteed soak, what temperature and humidity? So what the guaranteed soak enables, meaning when you turn that on, let's just say you've been testing something for, you're already doing something. You've been testing it for an hour already. This soak has already been soaking for an hour. Well, somebody else comes in and says, oh, what's in there really quick? Let's open the door. Well, when you open the door at 65-90%, you're going to lose your humidity. You're going to lose your temperature. So what it does is once it goes out of soak range, meaning like what do I want to call it? Once it goes out of a range of like a degree or a percent or two, it actually stops the timing of that 3 hours. So you've already got an hour of soak, but now you just interrupted 5-10 minutes of your 3 hours, where it's not going to give you your full 3 hours of soak. Where as it deviates from that guaranteed soak band, when it goes out of that soak band, it stops the timing of the 3 hours until the door is shut, temperatures come back up, humidity comes back up. Once you're in that soak band range, it then resumes the timing. It doesn't start it over. It resumes it to give you your full 3 hours. So now instead of being 3 hours because somebody opened the door, it's 3 hours and 20 minutes because it took the time to get back into range and everything before it restarted the timing. But it gives you a full 3 hours of guaranteed soak, and that's what the guaranteed soak does. I'm going to leave that off. That's something you guys can turn on and off as needed. Mm-hmm. But for now, I'm going to leave it off. But that's what it is. Just ensures that you're going to get a full 3 hours if somebody opens the door or something happened. So we're all set. We're all good. So that's step 3. So new step is going to be another ramp. So instead of soaking, we're going to go to ramp. But see, notice how we've got a few things in here. Mm-hmm. Look, we've got a few more. We got the jump in there now, which I'll show you that because we want to do this 10 times. So we are going to do a ramp time, and this is 2.5 hours. And we are going to 25, but I think we are maintaining 91, so that's all good. Humidity mode on. So that's pretty much step 4. We're done. So this is our ramp back down, and if you guys kind of follow here, so this is our ramp back down right now. So that's the step we're on. So that's all in. We're ready to go. New step. It's going to be another ramp time for another 2.5 hours, going back up to 65. And we're done with step 5. Now step 6 we want to soak there again. And this is a 3 hour. And once again, if you want the guaranteed soaks on. So that's pretty much our soak. We're done with that step. Step 6, we come back down, so it's another ramp. So we'll change that back again. Ramp time. Change that to 2. Change that to 30. And we're going back to 25, maintaining our 91%. Okay. So now step 7, or well, this step, but so it states we have to control it there. Oh yeah, so that was our ramp. Okay, so now we are gonna soak there. So our next step is gonna be a soak for an hour and a half. Because then our next step is gonna be a ramp for 30 minutes. Oh, and by the way, if you were to leave nothing in there and you don't put it back to 0, it won't take. So if I try to say take this, it won't show. You've got to actually put 0 in there. I know. So this is going to be a ramp from 2591, which now is going to be, humidity is going off because we are going to -10, which we won't have any control for humidity. Okay, so there's our -10 step. Okay, now we want to soak there for 3 hours. So we'll put a soak. And humidity mode's still off because we're not in, you know, we can't have humidity below freezing. So add a new step. We're going to come back. We're going to ramp up. Ramp time. 30 minutes. And this is going to go back to 25. We're going to leave humidity off. Well, now we could turn back on humidity because once it gets above it, it will just kick on. So we'll turn the humidity back on. And then you want to, so that's it, yeah. So then, and then our next step is going to be a soak for 2.5 hours. And that's it. Okay. So there's pretty much your profile right there. Okay, so let me add a new step.
No.
Oh. No, something's not right. Oh yeah, okay, 13. There we go. So 13 now. So now if you have any questions on what you just did, you can always go back and say, okay, what was step 1? What was step 6? You know, and see. So step 10 was my soak. But what was I soaking at? Oh, -10. Okay. So there's my soak, or ramp time. Oh, back to 25. Okay. So now, step 13. You have to do this 10 cycles. All right. So we're going to go into a jump.
In time.
Okay. Okay. Step 1, ramp time. So what step do we want to jump back to? Now, we don't want to go back to step 1 because step 1 was just the 5-minute turning it on. You want to go back into step 2 where it goes right after this, right after your 24 hours, it starts right this part where it's going transitioning up. So and that was on step 2. So we want to start back at step 2. All right,
10 times.
number of times. How many?
10.
How many?
Oh, you? 9. Oh,
Nine.
for the first one already.
9.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
the first one is like
Oh,
a
it's-
0. So you do the first one, 1,
Okay.
and then you do it 9 more times, giving
Yes.
you 10.
10 times.
So, yeah. And then everything is good there. So, now, what do we want? So now it's going to do that 10 times. So now we're ready to end. What do we want to be done at our end step? So we're going to add a new step. It's going to give me another jump. I don't need another jump, obviously, but it's just it just takes from the last. You change it yourself. So now we're ready to end. Go to our end state, right? I mean, we're done.
Yep.
We can keep going if you had, but it sounds like that's all we needed. So we're gonna hit our end step. So now, what do we want to happen? Do we want it to, well, let's see what we got. Do we want it to go to user, off, or hold? Okay. So user, going back to user is like going back to manual mode. Okay. So you got to be careful because you really don't know what the settings are set for right now. Or, you know, in manual mode, what were the settings set at? Were they set at 25 or were they set at 65 or were they set at 125? So if you go back to user, you don't know what the setting is, you could actually go hotter or colder than what you need. If you go off, it shuts the machine off, shuts the chamber down. Your last step is kind of an ambient condition. So I always like the hold option because it will hold at 25, 91% for you. Sometimes with live loads, people have live loads in there where they apply power to the inside. Well, when you apply power, product heats up, you know, just by, you know, if you feel my computer, you feel the bottom just from being on, it's warm, it's hot, you know, I mean, and that's what will happen. With the product still staying on inside, it heats up. So when you hold, it makes sure it maintains that 25, 91 for you. So.
So hold is always ambient.
No,
Or just whatever
actually,
it's gonna hold the last step.
Side.
hold the last. Okay, gotcha.
So if your last step was 125C, it's gonna hold 125C. If your last step's minus 20, it's gonna hold minus 20.
Oh, gotcha.
So I always like to make my first step ambient and my last step ambient,
I see.
if I can. So that way you just, you know, you start out at ambient, and then when you're done, you're just holding at ambient.
Ah, very good. Perfect.
And you could even turn humidity off too if you want to, but we'll go ahead and leave it on because I know this mil spec standards are, you know, I'd rather have you hold the humidity too after the test just so it doesn't screw up anything. We're pretty much done with the profile. Any questions real quick?
Just a question about the humidity on and off. Is it gonna do anything if it's on and it's below freezing? Is it gonna do anything or no?
If the humidity's on, no, it will not do anything because there are settings in there that I can see too. Probably if I get into my system here, I can get into my password, or here you go, I can enter the password, and then you only see 3 things here. Once I enter that password, I would see 6 things.
Mm-hmm.
And in there, I can get into the settings, the deep configuration, like that login part. Get into the deeper configurations where SPEC doesn't want you, because then you get into changing settings that could not make the machine run like it should.
Oh, okay.
Like
Got it.
like you're like, hey, I'm not controlling my temperature. It's all over the place. Well, what did we get into? Is there a problem with the chamber, or did we change something in the settings?
Right,
If you
right.
change something in the settings, it can change how you control.
Okay.
stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay.
So now, I mean,
So we can see the profile on here now.
Yeah. You can see profile.
push,
Only one.
Push profile. Push your profile button.
Then hit the second one.
There it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There it is. Now we can come up here,
Awesome.
run profile, custom run, calendar start, view edit steps, view edit details, export files, delete profile, and then cancel. Okay, it's a lot. It's a lot more. So run profile means you're just gonna you're gonna run the profile. Okay. Custom run, meaning you want to start at step 5. So it customizes it. Okay, so you don't always have to start at step 1. You can start at step 6, 5, or if you have a 40-step profile, you can start at step 20, or you can even start at the last step if you wanted to. So that's what custom run means. You can start it out on any step. Calendar run, same thing. Calendar. You can start at Sunday, so when you come in Monday, your product's done, and
So all this isn't there. We just have to go to
Yeah,
push
just
the
run that
buttons,
there.
yeah.
put the
No.
parts in and
Mhm.
Run.
So right now, if I'm going to hit a custom run, what step do I want to go to?
I see.
So
Yeah.
cancel.
Okay, that's good.
If I want to do a calendar start,
Like a date.
so what day, what time, what profile?
we
Only
all.
one profile.
You don't have to put the date when it's gonna stop.
No, because the profile has
Yeah.
the end step.
Exactly.
So yeah, so it's just
Just
a,
the start time, so
That's it.
you're at home and then this one starts working.
correct. And then view edit steps. So this is, instead of getting into the computer here like we did, you can just view and edit your
Yeah.
steps right here.
Oh.
You can edit in there.
So see,
Good.
so it tells me your ramp time, your soaks, and then if you want to edit it, you just say actions, delete step, edit step parameters. So there's your step parameters. So my time signal's on, humidity mode's on, not used, not used, not used. Oh, edit step parameters. That's. Thought it would give you. Oh, so yeah, if you want to edit it, you would just push on your ramp time, and then that would let you do your changes.
We don't do anything. Turn it.
View edit details, view edit steps, view edit details, or was that?
So if there's a power outage, once it comes back, it will keep the information in it, or we have to reset everything?
No. So you may have to restart the profile. I don't know if it will continue the profile, but the profile will stay in there. So say there's a big lightning storm, and all of a sudden power goes out to the building, and it's out for a couple hours.
We had that during the summer, like almost every year.
Yeah. Okay, perfect time. So it's so hot that Edison shuts you down
Yeah.
because they're just consuming so much power. Your power's out for 3 or 4 hours. You come back up, everything's still there. You just probably have to restart the profile.
Okay.
You won't lose it.
Okay.
Okay, so if I unplug this right now, plug it back in, your profile's still there. I can unhook this right now. Profile's still gonna stay there, even if we shut the power.
So, and the pump, we have to turn it on, or is?
No, as long as that switch is on and powered up,
Okay.
once the power comes back, everything will just, yeah. You just have to start the machine probably. That's all. Excuse me. The pump reacts off of pressure, so it's got power to it all the time, and it's reacting off of a pressure switch. So as you consume your water and you're using your water as the water's filling, the pressure goes from like 40 psi down to like 25 psi. Once it gets to 25 psi, you'll hear that pump go for seconds. Now, if you hear that pump running continuously, something's wrong. You should not hear that pump running. You should only hear it briefly for a couple of seconds. And what it does, it takes that 25 pressure back up to 40 psi, and then gets the water to it. So that it's all pressure controlled. So once the power comes back on, you don't have to do anything to the pumps or anything. Just restart the machine.
Now, when the profile is running, does it show us on the screen what step it's on or where it's at?
Oh yeah, we're gonna run this.
Oh, okay, good.
We're gonna run a manual just to kind of show you what it does, and then I'll show you profile.
Okay.
And yeah, it does.
Nice.
So here's your guaranteed soak deviation. So right now, you're set for 5.6 Celsius for one, meaning your guaranteed soak deviation. So let's just say you're running at 65. So if somebody opens the door, the temperature has to drop down below 60 degrees before it stops the timing. Now normally I see that at like 1, 2 Celsius. So that's up to you guys if you guys want to play around, but that's if you want the guaranteed soak option. This will only be for the guaranteed soak option. But I see that normally 1 or 2 degrees C, and then that's set for 10%. I see that closer to 3 or 5%. But everybody has their own specs, their own quality that they want. So some people this is fine. Other people they want it tighter, so. Go home. There we go. So that's pretty much. So now, if I get in here, I'm pretty much. I could just click out of here really quick. Okay. Unhook. So profile's done. That's in. All right. So to turn this machine on, so I want to run 6591 right now, manually. Okay? That blower always turning. So the air is going like this to circulate. So now my humidity is not on. See, it's off. See right now, if I hit the stop, see it went back to off. It's off. Okay? My chamber is not running. As soon as I hit the start, I go to auto. Now I gotta turn my humidity on. But watch, I'm gonna turn my humidity on. My humidity's on. Oops. But it's still off. Okay? Let's do this. So, what happens is there's control on here. The way that S-Spec sets this up. So I'm at 31, give it till about 32. 32 point something, 32.5. Auto. So 3 degrees from set point. So my set point is 65. So it shuts it back off because I'm not within 3 degrees of my set point, plus or minus. So as long as I'm within, if my set point's at 65, as long as I'm within 62 and 68 degrees, it will allow my humidity to turn on. If I'm outside of that 3 degrees, it doesn't let me turn my humidity on. Because here's what they do. Let's just say we're controlling at 65. Something happens to the refrigeration. All right, you're not able to cool. You're not able to control temperature. So your temperature just keeps getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. Well, what do you think steam does? When you get hotter, it lowers the humidity. Now you have to add more steam, more steam, more steam. Well, what is steam? Steam is heat. So now you just keep getting hotter and hotter with no way to cool it or control it. So when you get up to that 68 degrees, it shuts off the steam until you can come back down and control, and then it turns back on. So that way you just don't sit there and just let your temperatures and humidity just keep going and going and going and going because you have no refrigeration control. So kind of a behind the scenes safety, if that makes any sense. You don't know it's there, but it's there. So that way you don't kind of overheat and trip out on any temp alarms or anything like that. So that's just the manual mode. So you turn it, and then if I want to turn my time signal on, so right now these contacts closed. So now if I had power, that power would be able to run through and close. Now I turn it off. But like I said, there's no power here, so I can stick my fingers on these all day long. Ow! No, I'm just kidding. No power. So that's how you turn them on and off. And if I want the humidity mode off, I just shut it off, turn it back on. So that's manual mode. And it's gonna stay there until you shut it off, or like I said, until it breaks. Alright.
Front profile very good. Just turn on and see. Don't have to depend again. One touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's always the same.
Yeah, always the same.
Yeah.
One touch, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna get even easier. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of waiting for this to come back down to ambient really quick. Oh my god. People. My secretary and my boss both know I'm doing a training, but yet they seem to call every single time I've had what?
They have questions.
I've been sitting here for 5-6 hours doing the startup. They couldn't call me then. No, they had to call me right during the training. I was like, okay.
That's Ohm's law.
Right?
Right.
It is. So I'm just kind of waiting for it to come back down to ambient. So we're going to start this profile, show you what the profile does.
Can you open the door and then
You can open the door.
and go down?
I did it from 180. Yeah. Well, it was going to take a long time to cool down, and I wanted to start the training, so that's why I opened the door to kind of speed the process. Yeah, just leave it on. Now, it's not good to open the door. It's very It's not good to open the door when you're at minus temperatures. You can, but here's what's going to happen. You may frost up because if you're opening the door, there's moisture in the air. It's like your freezer. You know, you open your freezer door and you see all the fog type of, well, that's what it's going to do. But that moisture is going to collect on the coils and it's going to freeze the coils. It's going to ice them up. So right now, your coils look like your radiator. Wind can blow by. As soon as you ice up that coil, no wind means no temperature control. So opening the door at minus temperatures, not the best. If you need to do that and you ice up the thing, it shows you how to defrost the chamber.
Oh, okay.
Just run it up to, it even says run it up to 65°C for an hour, let it thaw out, you know. Okay, so now you can see we're closer. So if I was to push, you know, so you see the blue is for cooling, same thing here, the blue is for cooling, and the yellow or the orangish look, so if I was to put this back at 65 really quick, is for heat. So you see this, so different colors there. So you can see the percentage. I'm asking for 50%, 60% to try to maintain right now. Anyways, so that's that. Profile. Let's start a profile. Profiles. Actions. Run.
Done. That's good.
Oh! Hold on.
Oh, what's wrong?
Let's do this. Let's stop. Now, profile actions are right here. Look at this. Look what's right there. See that name? What is that name? I know some of this stuff's small. You need. It's your profile.
Okay.
We just
Right
entered.
there.
Run last.
Wow.
Pretty simple. Pretty simple. So just run the last, and you're because you may have like 5 different programs in here, okay, and you may run that same profile a lot. So instead of having to search for the profile, just run the last profile, which your last profile will always be sitting right there. Whatever profile you had will be sitting right there. So. Any questions so far? I'm going to go ahead and stop this. We can start it later, but I got to open this door to show you guys how to do the retrieval for file transfer. So before it gets too hot, let's just stop that. All right. So screwdriver. Now you got to be really careful when you do this. I wish SPEC would have added a USB panel mount as well. But they didn't. They only added the Ethernet. So, do you have a a stick, memory stick?
Yeah,
or-
do we have one, Ben? Do you have a memory stick we can use?
Maybe ask. Anthony?
Okay, awesome. Awesome for one.
Okay.
Right back.
Well, you know what? I mean, Ryan,
Yeah.
I can show you on mine.
Oh, you have one? You don't mind?
I do have one. It's just, I just figured, you know, you could take it to your, well, that way you can keep it and then you have it ready for that one, this profile ready for this one.
Oh, you can show us here, then we can always redo it. It's simple.
Okay, yeah,
Plug
yeah.
our own in later.
Yeah.
But we need to open this.
Yeah, you gotta open the door and take out the screw here
Why get Anthony?
and then get into your controller.
Oh,
And you don't have to
I
do
see.
anything else.
Okay, okay, sounds good. Yeah, I think let's do it then.
Yeah. You know.
Okay.
I knew we
Just-
open the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I wish they had the panel mount so you didn't have to get in here. So.